Hello and welcome to Beauty and the Biz, where we talk about the business and marketing side of plastic surgery. I'm your host, Maley, author of Your Aesthetic Practice, What Your Patients Are Saying, as well as consultant to plastic surgeons to get them more patients and profits. And I have a very special guest today. It's Dr. Carlos Mata. He's a board-certified plastic and reconstructive surgeon in private practice in Scottsdale, Arizona. Now, he's performed more than 20,000 surgical procedures, and he specializes in facial rejuvenation, breast and body procedures, as well as hair transplants and nail enhancement. Now, Dr. Mata is originally from Erie, Pennsylvania, and he received his training at the University of Texas Medical Branch, St. Joseph Medical Center, and MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston, Texas, as well as Harvard's Brigham and Women's Hospital in Boston, Massachusetts. Now, while performing thousands of procedures at these institutions, Dr. Mata also trained in Miami, Florida, focusing on aesthetic surgery with the world's leading experts. Now, Dr. Mata is a member of many medical associations, and he's received numerous awards for his research and published works. Dr. Mata also believes very much in giving back. So every year he goes on medical mission trips in third world countries to help those in need. Dr. Mata, I want to welcome you to Beauty and the Biz. It's a pleasure to have you. I know you are extremely busy, so thanks for your time.
No, happy to be here.
Thanks. So do me a favor, just quickly give us a quick journey of how you got from, let's say, fellowship to private practice. Did you stop along the way into other practices or just go out on your own, or what was the story?
I wish it was that simple. Short is kind of challenging because I was actually graduated and I went straight into the military as a U.S. Army plastics and reconstructive surgeon. That was in 2011. So literally I graduated and I think a week later I was at boot camp learning how to be a soldier.
That explains how you got to 20,000 surgical procedures so quickly, because you look too young to have that many, and that explains it. I'm sure you got incredible experience in the military, right?
I did. I mean, serving in the military for the years that I did, and just basically I was the only plastic surgeon. I covered Texas, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, and Florida. So within a month of me starting, when I was done with my basic, training as a soldier, I was booked out for 9 months. So, it was very humbling experience, let alone eye-opening to have all of this volume of patients to take care of. So, yeah, I mean, it was good. I mean, after that, I was like, gosh, I feel like I'm way older than I am from the perspective of seeing all kinds of stuff. After that, then I moonlighted in Miami, Florida, doing aesthetics, when I took some days off from the military. And then I ended up going to join somebody in Chandler, Arizona. So basically the Phoenix metro area. They were a cosmetic surgeon from that standpoint. So our ideas of certain aspects didn't always mesh. So I ended up going out on my own, and I've had my office now for 5 years and 3 months, solo practice.
Oh, yeah, I actually have family in Chandler, Arizona. I know the area well. So you're in solo practice. I don't know how you've done it, but you are extremely busy. How booked out are you?
I operate 5 days a week, sometimes 6, occasional Saturdays. My first opening is February of next year.
Okay, good job. So, of course, I'm dying to hear the secrets of how you did it so quickly. So we like to talk about the business side of plastic surgery first. So are you doing this all on your own, or how did you set up your practice? Are there other extenders in there? What's that? Who's on board with you?
So when I first started my office in February of 2017, my daughter had just been born, a 1-month-old. I didn't have a job, and we're like, all right, I guess I got to do it like everyone else and figure it out on my own. I had a PCC, I had an office manager, and had a medical assistant. And that was it. And the office manager helped function as, a receptionist / MA / whatever the circumstances were. I was very fortunate because it's not just one thing that I think helped bring about how busy I am from that perspective. It was just a culmination of a lot of things done, being at the right time at the right place. I started social media in 2015 when I first got here in the Chandler area, going by Dr. Scottsdale just as a hashtag, not realizing the power of what it was. And it wasn't until like 2016, 2017 that I was like, hey, I'm going to do this social media thing. I became friends with Dr. Miami. And then I just kept doing social media. And for me, the crazy part is when I got to the Phoenix area, nobody was really doing social media. Like, for example, in Beverly Hills or LA or Chicago, Miami, New York, where every social media had already kind of exploded there, where it hadn't in this, top 6 metro area, that I was kind of the first, so to speak, to kind of grow with it. And I just try to do things the right way. And I tried to find niches where, there's over 160 board certified plastic surgeons. And I don't worry about what specials they have or what they're doing, because 40 to 50% of my patients literally come from out of state. So my market is not competing with the Phoenix metro area. It's all over the place. And that culmination.
Are you in Scottsdale? Are you in Scottsdale or Phoenix?
No, I'm in Scottsdale, but I keep talking about the Phoenix metro area because that encompasses Scottsdale, Chandler, Gilbert, everything.
Okay. All right. And half of them are coming from out of state. I find that very interesting. It must be coming from social media, because you know how SEO, how they're kind of pigeonholing you into, if you're in Scottsdale, they're going to give you Scottsdale people. How are you getting around that? And I guess Instagram, that's how you're getting around it, right?
Yes and no. And I think part of it is, you're talking about like geo-targeting or geolocations when you do PPC, right? You're putting it on your website and you're like, hey, I want an ad to show for a facelift or for lipo or for a breast dog. And of course, Google's job is to get people locally to see you, because that's how it works. I mean, could you sit here and say, hey, I want to market to New York that I want to do breast dogs from patients in New York? Sure, you could do that, but it would cost you an exorbitant amount of money, because those patients, Google's trying to get them to be local so that it's a useful information, not marketing somebody who's halfway across the US to say, hey, do you want this person? Because they're advertising with us. You'd have to pay a premium dollar because your bounce rate would be so high, because somebody's like, I'm looking for New York breast dogs and you're in Scottsdale. They'd be like, no, that's not right. And you would bounce. So your cost per click would be exorbitant. And to answer your question, how do we do it? It's the website, it's the social media, it's, that we talk about cost before the patient ever walks in the door. I mean, all these factors, I would say if you were to examine my office compared to other people's, you're like, it's half-assed backwards. I don't even know if I can say that, but it's a total reverse of what most people do. I give them the price before they even walk in the door. There is no stick.
I was going to say, from a patient's perspective, everyone should go to his website. It has, of course, the sexy girl, laying on the floor, which I've never understood, but it's very visually stimulating. And the first thing it says is, get your quote or something like that. And I thought, wow. So, because sometimes I worry about that, because then it's all about the money. But in your case, what is your psychology there? Why would you start with the money conversation first?
Again, this might sound harsh, but Lamborghini doesn't advertise on TV. Why? Because their clientele is not watching TV. For me, from the standpoint, I never considered myself a Walmart, even though when I started, I always say this is funny, I would charge $4,000 for a breast dog. Nobody wanted them. I would see a patient, they're like, oh, I'll think about it. Now I charge between $8,000 and $9,000 for a breast dog, and they're paying money in advance of actually having a consultation with me or even seeing me to secure a date now. Versus before, when it was $4,000, nobody was interested. The psychology is really simple in the sense that you know what you're walking into. I don't have the availability to sit here and to do 20 consultations in a day for somebody to decide, hey, I want you to do my surgery. Probably half of the patients, if not more, like 60, 70% of the patients have already decided that I'm the surgeon before even having a conversation with me. So this is different than most surgeons where, hey, come on in, let's meet me, let's talk to you. If you like me, then we'll do surgery. For me, it doesn't work that way. And that's why I say my practice is kind of reverse, and it goes to the price, because I don't want to talk to somebody when you're like, oh my gosh, a mommy makeover could be $20,000 to $60,000. And they're like, yeah, that's out of my price range. And for me to sit here and to have an hour-long consultation or even 30 minutes would be not beneficial to the patient or to myself. So we have full price transparency that it's the ballpark. Is it exact? No, but you have an idea. If you're walking in to buy a Lamborghini, you know it's not going to be $50,000. You know it's going to be upwards of six figures plus. So you know when you walk in, you know you have to have that kind of resource.
But the bigger question is, how did you position yourself to be the Lamborghini? You've done something. You didn't just do it on your website and say, here's a big price, and everyone went, oh, he must be excellent. He must be the best if he's charging this. There's typically more to it than that. So what else are you doing to brand yourself at that high ticket item? And who are you catering to? I mean, are your what are your demographics? Because you are all over the place. You have services for everybody. And that's interesting as well, because you're doing all the male services, the female services, hair transplant, all the lasers. I mean, you have a big boat of technology there and services. So how are you segmenting all that out?
Part of the logistics is I get bored. I couldn't do the same thing every day. So some people are like, oh, I'm a breast guy, or I'm a body guy, or I do breast and body. And other like, oh, I just do face. I get bored. So I like to do a little bit of everything, and again, they say jack of all trades, master of none. Am I great at one particular thing? I'd probably say I do a good job of almost everything that I do. There's certain things where I'm like, probably not the best doctor for you for this, but I like the diversity. So how do you position yourself? Well, as I mentioned, I started with, 3 or 4 employees, and now we're at 28 employees. Part of how do you position yourself is I started small, and every year I grew the practice. And by that, I mean, yes, I took the bare minimum of what I needed to survive for me and my family, and the rest got thrown back into the business, either, trying mail ads or PPC or whatever it was to get clients in the door. And every time I had a patient, it was me. It wasn't, hey, you're going to see my nurse for a follow-up. It's still that way today. If you're paying a premium for a Lamborghini, you expect the customer service to be second to none. And that's what it was at the beginning, and that's what it is now. For follow-ups, it's not like, hey, I operate, maybe I see you once and that's it. When I operate on somebody, they have a follow-up with me for the rest of their lives. That's something I learned from you from that standpoint, because I bought that book behind you probably 12 years ago or 10 years ago, whenever it came out at one of the meetings, and I read it, and the lifetime value of a cosmetic patient. You can only get a patient one of two ways. Either they're brand new or you stole them from somebody else. That's it. Those are the only two ways to acquire a patient, right? And so for me, it was just trying to do the right thing and do good work. And, it sounds so cliche, but a happy patient will talk to someone else and be like, hey, who did your work? And then word of mouth helped. And then for me, when I feel the explosion kind of happened was probably a year after I started doing social media, and I grew little by little by little. And that's not just Instagram, that's Snapchat, that's TikTok now. That was a little bit of Facebook. I really don't do Facebook. It was YouTube. All these little pieces just kept adding, fuel to the fire until all of a sudden you're like, hey, wow, there's a fire and I don't have to work as hard. The key, and I guess the secret sauce that everybody wants to know, how do you do this? It's called your effort, meaning I don't have a company that runs my social media. Yes, I have staff that help me, but it's me, meaning I am the person on my phone answering DMs or answering responses. It's me. It's not a company. And most doctors don't want to do that. And unless you're willing to put the time and effort into it yourself, it doesn't matter who you hire. Like, I have a full-time employee that does that all the time. It's not you. And I've been very fortunate to hire very good staff that have helped me grow, and it kind of became part of their baby, that this growth that we've had. So the secret sauce is the surgeon.
I want to put this in perspective. He's not kidding about doing his own social media. You need to go check out, I'm sure it's probably called Dr. Scottsdale, right? Dr. Scottsdale. He's doing his own social. You can tell because he's in it. He's involved. He's in the videos, and he has more followers than any other surgeon I know. And I know surgeons all over the world. He's got 580,000 followers. That should tell you something. Now, just be frank. How much of your time is spent doing this? Because I don't know how the heck you're doing this and seeing all the patients personally, because you're absolutely right. You could have the happiest patient until you diss them at the post-ops, and then they're going to hate you because you ignored them and gave them off to your fellow or your nurse. So, but how much time spent on social?
Again, at the beginning, it was a lot. I would probably say 3 to 4 hours a day when I first started. And again, I wasn't as busy, so I had more time. The busier I've become, now we have 3, maybe 4 staff members that are just dedicated to the social media aspect of what we do in the office, whether it's filming, whether it's putting our stories together, whether it's posting to YouTube, whether it's updating our website. The 2 things I tell my staff all the time that I'm a stickler for are pictures, meaning we take good before and after pictures because I like things to be standardized. I'm not the social media person that sits here and puts a patient in a certain position for them to look a certain way. If we take a before picture that way, we take an after picture that way. So it's actually comparable instead of like, here, let's wear this swimsuit. Do we put pictures like that up? Yes. But I also have their before and after. So it's standardized and it's not optical illusions or lighting or this or that. And now I probably spend maybe 30 minutes to an hour a day, maybe.
Okay. Good for you.
So it's not a lot now,
yeah,
but it was a lot at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Regarding the photos, too many surgeons are still saying, oh, my patients are so private, they would never share on social. I want to keep dispelling that because it's not true. How are you getting photos? Because you can't say your patients won't, but somebody else's patients will. So how are you doing it?
Part of this is I don't necessarily disagree with the surgeons that patients are private, but that's the clientele you're attracting. If you're attracting a very private patient because you're not really on social media, well, don't expect that private patient to go on social media. If my patients are coming from social media, that's how they found me. So I always have an honest discussion and I'm like, my job is to educate, and I know I'm promoting the office and myself, but the job is to educate. Is 40%, 50% of my office in terms of what I do surgically is revision surgery, meaning they've had surgery somewhere else and they're unhappy, whether it's been 6 months, 5 years, whatever it is. And revision surgery, a lot of surgeons don't do. And I mentioned earlier that I tried to find a niche where other people, there's maybe 3 people in town, 4 people that did revisions other than their own. They were like, oh, you had surgery? No, we don't do that. And I was like, well, I'm starting. I'm not that busy. So, I was in the military. I've taken care of God knows what. So I was like, it can't be harder than what I did before. So I was like, I can make it better. Is it going to be perfect? No. But then as I started doing social media and the occasional patient that would let me post, they're like, okay, great. At the beginning, I offered a discount. Like, hey, we can offset some cost of whatever, or we add a service if you let us film and post you. And, everybody, there's a give and take, so to speak. And now I haven't done that in probably 4 years of social media. People ask like, oh, my friend got a discount, to post. And he's like, we haven't done that in a while. And again, I don't force anyone ever to sit here and to get on social media and allow me to film them or to post them. But most people do. Most people want to see their surgery or want to see their results because, again, after surgery, you're going to be swollen, you're going to be this. But if they look at themselves and they're like, oh, my God, that's me. I look this good. So I know when I'm all healed, this is what I'm going to look like. So it's advantageous for you to have the ability to film them and show them like, hey, this is really what you're going to look like when you're done. Look, this is on the table. So now we just got to wait for that recovery and you're going to be here.
Do you ask them yourself or do you have the staff ask them?
I don't ask them anymore. I used to at the beginning. Now it's kind of our system. And I would probably say maybe 1 to 5% of patients that I operate on say, no, I don't want to be on social media.
Right. That's about right. But the 1% that do, or the 1 out of 4 who do, give you a very nice Instagram presence, I mean, you
Correct.
don't need everybody. You just need a good group that absolutely loves you, and you have such good user generated content. Your patients are very interactive with you. Whatever you're doing, some kind of persona you have, they like to interact with you, and that's a gift. I don't know how. Were you always like this? Because when I met you, you are the most quiet guy I think I've met, and I met you at a conference, and you were so quiet, and I thought, how has he become this Instagram genius? So maybe do you have another persona? Is that the point?
No, not at all. When I go to meetings, I'm very conservative, very reserved. Meaning because it's business. I mean, there's nothing. It's work. But how I am on social media is how I am to my staff, to everybody that I know. If I don't know you, I'm like, hey, how's it going? I'm Dr. Mata. Nice to meet you. I don't say, hey, I'm Dr. Scottsdale. How's it going? Hey, you want to be on my social media? Like, no, the persona is exactly the same. How I am on social media is how I am in person. But part of that is, you get busier. You call it your self-confidence just grows as you grow. As a surgeon, you do your first case, you're nervous. You do your thousandth case, you don't even think about it anymore. And, my wife always makes fun of me, like, as I started doing social media, because it was different to literally get on your phone and record yourself, that you're like, I go back and I look at it and I kind of laugh because, yeah, was I timid? Sure. And then at some point I'm like, the people that are going to watch are the people that are going to watch. Whether you're a goofball or whether you're whatever it is, you still got to be you at the end of the day. It's not about it. And I know some people will have a different persona on social media than they are in person. I think that's too hard for me from that standpoint, that I don't know how to turn it on and turn it off, that I just said, I'm just going to be me, whatever that is. And eventually, as I did it enough, that was me. And that's what it is.
Has it been helpful? Like, I'm looking at the demographics of Arizona, but then you said you have a lot of out of towners. How helpful is it for you to be bilingual in Arizona? And what demographic are you going after, or who seems to be attracted to you?
I think the demographics is probably like 30% Caucasian, 30% Hispanic, and maybe 10, 15% African American, and then a hodgepodge of whatever's left from that standpoint. I don't sit here and market to specific demographics. I know like would like, little marrying if they see a Hispanic doctor. But that's the thing. I don't really talk Spanish on my social media. I'm not sitting here having conversations. Do I occasionally talk to some of my Spanish patients in Spanish when I'm doing social media? Yes. And the patients will be like, oh my God, I didn't even know you spoke Spanish. So it's not like they're coming to me because I speak Spanish. They're like, holy moly, that's an addition to them deciding that they want to see me anyways, that they're like, oh, el doctor habla español, so hasta mejor, better that he speaks Spanish. So the demographics is all over. And I know it seems so hard, but I really don't spend that much money per se on marketing, because again, it's the fuel till the fire's already been there, and it's just like burning, and it just keeps burning from that standpoint.
So are you working with any other marketing channels other than social?
We do a little bit of TV. I mean, I did bring on another surgeon, which is crazy to think that in year 4 of my practice, I was like, I need help. So I brought on a junior, associate that's, it's more of a tier structure where maybe he's a BMW and I'm the Lambo in terms of expenses. Because again, a lot of people don't want to wait 6, 7, 8 months for a surgeon, but my patients do. And I think that's part of the difference that I think people need to understand. Everyone's like, no patient is going to wait. For a brand, people wait whatever it is that they're willing to wait for a brand. They're not willing to wait for a common situation. Like if you want a hamburger, you're not going to wait to buy a hamburger. But if it's a special kind of hamburger, you'll sit here and put a reservation and wait 2-3 weeks to get that special hamburger. Apple, if you're waiting for a phone, you're going to wait for that phone to come out before you're going to get it, because you're waiting for the Apple brand. You're not waiting for a phone. When you create a brand, that allows you to not mess with the other stuff, not worry about the cost or the time or this or that. So that's what I would say is a little different.
What's smarter about that is you actually have a tiered pricing system. So they wanted the Lamborghini until they found out how much it was. And now here's plan B. At least you're not leaving empty handed, and neither are they, because they were so deflated thinking, oh no, but if I can get somebody close to that for a fairer price in their minds, that's how to do it. You don't let anyone go away. You just give them what they want, but in a different tier. So congratulations. Right. All right. So you have an associate. Is the plan to make him a partner, or because that can get a little complicated? What is your plan to grow this thing even more? I mean, do you have plans to expand?
Absolutely. Right now, we are in a 7,000 square foot office. Hopefully, in the next 12 to 24 months, I will have a 17,000 square foot facility on Scottsdale Road that we've been working on, but with COVID and, city permits and this and that, it's just taking longer than anticipated. But no, I mean, the plan is absolutely to grow. And I think part of the logistics when you're talking about partners, for example, is great. Somebody wants to be a partner. Okay, that's awesome. It's not that I'm opposed, but I'm like, okay, so you want to get Apple stock now, but you're not going to pay for it until 5 years from now. You think Apple's going to devalue or appreciate more? So let's say it is going to go up. How do you start paying for that now for the future? And what's that value going to be worth? Is it a multiplier of gross? Does it include some of the goodwill, the brands, so to speak? Or are you just talking dollar numbers? Let's say the office brings in $1 million. Okay, so great. I'm 43. Let's say I practice another 20 years. So let's say I made $1 million. That's $20 million that this practice will generate in 20 years. What's that worth? And somebody wants to be a partner. How do they pay for it now? Versus somebody coming in usually doesn't have that kind of capital. So it's kind of an interesting situation, that there's a lot more.
Is one of your visions to bring on partners? Or have a huge OR where you're allowing others in it? Like, what's the plan? Because that 17,000 feet is a big operation there.
It is. I think logistic. It's only going to have 2 ORs. I operate 5 days a week. I could literally take an OR by myself every single day, pretty much all day. I think for me, the plan is to actually slow down, to operate less, to bring other people that want to operate more from that standpoint. And I think part of the logistics of having a partner or partners is now you have a lot of decision making that needs to take place between certain individuals. And obviously, I would say I've created a sizable business entity that functions very well. For someone else to come in here, no, I think we need to do it this way. And I'm like, how do you know? From that standpoint, I guess I could say I've been very lucky to make good decisions for the most part, even though I'm sure I had my fair share of mistakes along the way, as any business owner does. That I'm just about bringing somebody on who wants to make a very good living without having to kill themselves. I haven't taken call or worked a weekend officially, for insurance since I left the military. And most surgeons are like, well, you can't just start an aesthetic practice. And I would agree. It's really hard to start an aesthetic practice. Again, there's no such thing as a starving plastic surgeon, but are you as busy as some others? No. But again, for me, it's about whoever comes on being able to generate as much income as I do, even though they're not an owner. So.
So how important is the med spa, the non-surgical, due to all the advancements in technology? Is your goal to be like an umbrella, a one-stop shop kind of place, and keep that patient not only coming in different doors, but then leaving in other doors? Like, are you trying to keep them for a lifetime? Do you have a philosophy on that?
I do, because like I said, the patient has a follow-up with me forever. And part of the dynamics, which is interesting, is that my surgical practice was feeding the spa when we started a spa, so to speak. Do we have pretty much every toy under the sun? Yes. Do we have laser hair removal? Do we have CO2, skin resurfacing, microneedling with radio frequency, laser hair removal? we have all the toys. We have M-Sculpt Neo, we have TrueSculpt ID. I mean, you name it, we have it. And part of my philosophy was at the end of the year, I'm like, well, Uncle Sam's going to take half. I'd rather invest the money into my own company than sit here and give them half. So I always bought little devices here and there, little by little. And every year it's like, oh, great. This seems like, in my opinion, it's going to generate income for my patients, whether it's post-surgery or, hey, great, not a lot of people have this device. And again, I only try to pick devices that I feel are going to give a result most of the time. Because there's no such thing as a perfect device. Because if there was, then that would be the device in everybody's office. For example, cool sculpting. Did it work? Yes. But now the market's so saturated that it's like taking sand to the beach. You're like, great. Well, what makes you different with your cool sculpting device than anyone else other than cost? It's become so commoditized.
Well, if you have four of them, what makes you different.
Correct. And now you can do dual sculpting twice. You can do your arms and abdomen at the same time. Great. But I think that time has come and gone. If you wanted to get into cool sculpting, it was probably the first 2, 3, 4, 5 years. But now in year, 11 or 12, it's a much harder sell. And yeah, the technology is a little different, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. And yeah, non-surgical body contouring is the number one most requested item or searched for. And so you have to have it. I think as a plastic surgeon, if you don't have that, you're going to lose that patient to somebody else. And them being there, they're going to be exposed to whatever surgical practice is attached to them, that all of a sudden you lost that patient. And so I'd rather not do that. And I have always been of the mentality that if they paid a premium penny for me to operate on them, they shouldn't have to pay a premium penny to be in the spot. That, hey, if you're my surgery patient, you're going to get better pricing than if you're just a regular spot patient coming off the door. We do have a monthly, plan for the spa where you pay a monthly fee, and then we have a different tier, so that allows the patients to have services or to accumulate dollar amounts when they come in, that they can group all that and get certain services that maybe cost a little bit more. So we try to make it affordable, and a tier structure to make sure that we're encompassing everybody who we can help, because obviously we know non-surgical is the number one thing in plastic surgery, and obviously we've given that away to med spas or ENTs or dermatologists or cosmetics people. But I think it behooves all plastic surgeons to at least have a small component of a spa from that perspective.
For sure. So let's just talk about staff, because we jumped over that. You have 28 staff. That I would say, would you say that's your biggest challenge running a business, or is it something else?
It depends on the day, and I think the hard part about having a lot of staff is you have to have good support staff, i.e., having my practice administrator versus, it's very different having a practice administrator versus a practice manager versus an office manager. And everyone's like, oh, it's my office manager. And I'm like, yes, but again, I go back to the secret sauce is being involved, i.e., I have conversations on like, hey, how's our gross for the month? What are our expenses? What's our P&L look like? What's our cash balance? All these things that are still playing on in the back of my mind, that once 8 to 5 is done, hey, now it's my time to put my hat on and be like, hey, you're a business owner. How are we doing? And that's part of the evolution that most surgeons worry about, the surgical side, the medical side, and then they lead somebody else do that. And that's where sometimes embezzlement happens, or this or that, or they're not paying attention to their checking accounts or writing checks someone else is signing, or where the money is going. I think to be successful, you have to have your hands in the cookie jar at all times. You need to know what's coming in and out, and being aware of that stuff. But again, most people don't want to do that. And so it is going to be harder, because you have to put a lot of trust into other individuals. And so I've been very fortunate that I've had good staff, that our turnover isn't like, 50% that I know some offices have on a yearly basis, that it's more like 10% or less. And that's usually because people get a job offer that's over and above like 2 times what we're paying. So again, I think that I compensate my staff in the top 25% rather than the bottom 25%, but who's to say?
And do you know how you have set up a culture? You must have a great culture if you have low staff turnover. And a lot of times that has to do with the clarity the staff has. They're real clear about what their role is. You've given them the tools that hold them accountable. You actually hold them accountable, or you have that right-hand person who has such a good handle on them doing what they're supposed to be doing and everyone on their game. How did you set up the culture? It didn't just happen.
No, and I mean, it was very much an evolution. I think for the first couple of years, I struggled because the people that I would bring on is, you're quick to hire, slow to fire. And it just wasn't the right fit. And by fit, I mean, people that get the idea of work is work, but that doesn't mean you can't have fun at work, but that doesn't mean that all you should be having is fun and not working. And part of the culture is it starts at the top, meaning the surgeon or meaning the practice owner or whoever that is that's watching the podcast. It has to come from the top. And if you're a grouch and you don't want to talk to people, like every one of the staff members has my cell phone. Like if there's a problem, they know they can always reach out to me. My office door is always open if I'm in here and you can ask me a question, versus some people are like, nope. And yeah, I do have a right hand that is amazing. She's been great. I've known her a long time and I know you know her.
She's amazing.
And again, she was from the military, she ran an army base. I mean, those are attributes that you're not going to find, or few and far in between. And I'm very grateful for that, but we still have eye-to-eye conversations about like, hey, I think we need to hire more people, or hey, what do you think about bringing on this device? And so we always have candid conversations about the logistics of the staff, because again, there are good days and bad days. And when you have 27, 28 employees, of course, there's going to be little hiccups along the way because everybody has their own little groups or cliques, or the front office staff, back office staff, or part-time staff. It's always an evolution. But I think part of it is you have to grow. And, we don't just, and I would probably say 80% of my employees are millennials, which is interesting from that standpoint.
Wow.
I have nurses that are in their 40s and I have nurses that are like 23 years old. So again, it is a spectrum, but part of that is, you're right. They have to get along. They have to be willing to mesh. And if that's not evident in an interview, do a working interview. And if it still doesn't feel right, then no matter how bad you need somebody, it's not worth the headaches.
I'm just surprised that you give them access to you, because I do, as a consultant, suggest that you keep that buffer between you and the staff, because you'll have, especially the group that the 80%, they don't have the same boundaries, it seems, I'm just generalizing, as some of the older folks, but they'll go right in there. They'll text you all night saying, oh, what about this? Do you find that happens, or everyone is good with the boundaries?
Never. And that's the crazy part, because again, part of that is, like you said, you're giving a generalization, but within every, I guess, whether it's, baby boomers or millennials or Gen X or Y or Z, there's always going to be a spectrum of people that fall within the norm and people that maybe relate to a different class. Part of that, everybody knows that, and again, I go back to it starts at the top. If there's trash on the floor, I don't sit here and tell somebody, hey, go pick up the trash. I will pick it up. But when we have a staff meeting, I'll be like, guys, why is there trash on the floor? If we need help flipping a room and I'm not doing anything, I will go help flip the room. Versus some surgeons will feel, hey, that's below me. I have staff to do that. But if I see everybody's working and I'm doing nothing, then I do my best. Do I do that once in a blue moon? Absolutely. I don't do it every day. But whatever the circumstances are, like, hey, the bathroom needs toilet paper, I will go get toilet paper. I don't tell somebody, hey, go get toilet paper in the bathroom. Right? It's all these little things that people understand that I'm willing to work, so should everyone else. But they understand that I am the boss. So yes, can I have a conversation and kid around with them? But when I say, hey, we need to do this, they're like, okay, I'm going to go do it. So I think you can kind of blur the lines a little bit, but I totally get what you're saying from the perspective of having that delineation and understanding the hierarchy of how things work and are run. But I think if you kind of set the tone at the beginning, I think it's fine. And that's why I tell you, I said my office is run very differently than what you would describe as most successful 20 plus employee practices that you're like, gosh, he's saying all the wrong things that I'm like, nobody should listen to what I'm saying, you know?
It works for you. I know I personally have invested so much to learn the marketing and business side of plastic surgery. And for you, how helpful was it for you to have all those incredible mentors? Or do you invest in courses or masterminds? Or how did you learn all of this so quickly, the business and marketing side?
Mentors, none. I don't have somebody that I call and like, hey, what did you do here? Did I have mentors, in plastic surgery? Like, how do you do this procedure? Sure. And it's funny because it's not the first time someone's asked me that question, like, how have you been so fortunate to have all these, things kind of fall on your lap? And it's not so much they fall on your lap. It's just like you're running and you're looking for them and you're like, hey, this is a good opportunity. And again, is it a whim? Sure. But if it makes sense, it does. I was fortunate when I first got here that I did get my MBA, but that was just more on the fundamentals. I think just because you have an MBA doesn't mean you're like, oh my God, you're going to be successful in business because you understood the fundamentals of corporate structure or management or marketing. That helps. But I did that because I didn't have anything else to do. I wasn't used to not working 60, 70 hours a week. That, I had an aesthetics job and I worked 35 to 40 hours a week. So I was like, well, I might as well, have my GI Bill. I'll go to school. I'll get my master's in business administration. I think it helped a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's trial and error, and where did I get this information? Just going to meetings and investing in like the stuff that you do, for example, I always know I'm not the smartest person in the room, but I need to find the people that are smart at what they do and learn from them. So yeah, I'd go to meetings and they're like, gosh, how do you get your conversion rates 80%? And I'm like, God, that sounds really helpful. So when I go to aesthetic meetings, I go to that instead of like, how do you do upper eyelid surgery? It's taken for granted that as a surgeon, you're like, I'm going to go learn how to do a better upper eyelid surgery. You should know how to do an upper eyelid surgery by the time you're a surgeon. It's what do you need to learn that you haven't learned yet? The business side. And there's all these meetings. And now it's I think almost in every meeting, there's something to do with marketing or business or anything that's going to help grow the practice. But most surgeons like, oh no, I'll have my staff go. But part of that is if you don't know what your staff is going to do, how do you know that they're doing the right things?
For sure. I've been at this for 22 years. And when I first started, the practice management rooms were either non-existent or I would give the only 15-minute talk on marketing. And now the rooms have gotten bigger, but not big enough. The surgeons are still focused on the surgery and they're missing the part about you are not going to make it in this uber competitive world if you don't either invest in or learn yourself. How do you do this? It's not about the surgery. It's about the marketing and the business side of surgery that's going to make all the difference in your profits, in your processes, how you set this up to exit profitably. I just think I'm just going to suggest to everybody, please learn more about business and marketing or hire somebody who knows it because I don't think you can wing it anymore,
I totally agree with you. And I think from that standpoint, ever since I was able to go to meetings when I was a resident or a fellow, I would go to the business side. I'm like, I can read, I can watch videos on how to do surgery. I can't watch videos on how to run a business.
Right.
You just have to do it and make your mistakes. Or like you said, find somebody who can help you do all this from that standpoint, And I think the earlier you do it, the better off you're going to be because you're like, and I'm seeing this and I don't know if your practices are, but obviously, things have slowed down a little bit from that standpoint. Not for me personally, but I know other colleagues are like, gosh, yeah, our volumes dropped 20 to 30% from post-COVID, and I sit here and I'm like, I'm busier now than I was post-COVID, but I know when I look at, how many people visit our website or things like that, the numbers are less than they used to be, let's say a year ago. But I think, the recession's kind of a little scary thing, because again, we always worry. I was scared to death when COVID happened that I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Am I going to have to go back and start taking insurance or move somewhere because we don't know what's going to happen? And it was a total reverse. I mean, I got busier after that, as did every other plastic surgeon, even the not so good.
Nobody saw that coming.
Yeah, exactly.
That I was very surprised by that. I didn't see that coming. And then we have to wrap it up because I know you have to get back to surgery. But just last question, tell us something we don't know about you.
I never wanted to be a plastic surgeon. I never wanted to do aesthetic surgery ever. Not for one iota did I ever think I'd be having a 99.9999% cosmetic practice. Never in my wildest dreams. When I wanted to be a craniofacial surgeon, meaning I wanted to do cleft lip and cleft palate surgery and work at a hospital, and that's it, and not worry about billing or any of that stuff at all. Never wanted to do that ever. So when, going back to the very beginning, like how I got to private practice, well, when I was finishing my fellowship or, plastic surgery training, I got accepted to do a craniofacial fellowship in Paris, France. And the military said, great, you can go. And then once I told them, like, hey, here's my acceptance letter, I'm going to go, they're like, no, you can't go. We changed our minds. So all of a sudden, at that point in time, they said, you can't go, you have to come into active duty. And so right there, the course of my life went from, this is my plan, and it went this way. And so here I am, and again, it's funny when I have conversations like this, because it still seems surreal to me that here I am, 43 years old, in 100% aesthetic practice with a junior associate, booked out 6-7 months, that I'm like, it still doesn't register. And everyone's like, you're successful. And I still don't see myself as successful. So still putting in the work.
Well, I will tell you, after knowing surgeons for 22 years, you have taken the shortcut. Somehow you have outsmarted, outspent. I don't know what you did, but you are on the fast track, and good for you. Just do what you're doing and just keep doing it. And ebb and flow, it will always happen. But I think you've got your head on right. You're going with the times, and although I don't think you can move because you're Dr. Scottsdale. So I think you're kind of stuck there. Other than that, I think you're in good shape. Anyway, Dr. Mata, how would they get a hold of you if they wanted to?
You can just find me on Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat at Dr. Scottsdale. You can always reach out to our office via email, drmata@nrpsaz.com, naturalresultsplasticsurgeryarizona.com, or naturalresultsaz.com.
Yeah, check out his website and you'll see the pricing thing. He has a very cool pricing tool that he uses. And just so you know, he has more leads in one day than most do in, 6 months. So he's somebody you should probably emulate. I will let you go. Thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. I will see you again at a meeting, hopefully soon, somewhere. I don't know.
Of course. Pleasure. Take care.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. We are going to wrap it up now for Beauty in the Biz. Please do me a favor and subscribe to Beauty in the Biz so you don't miss any episodes. Of course, share this with your friends, your colleagues, your staff. Then if you've got any questions for me or the doctor, you can leave them at my website at CatherineMaley.com. And if you've got any questions for me on Instagram, you can certainly DM me at Catherine Maley, MBA. Thanks so much, and we will talk again soon.